When political campaigns die, their spending is also supposed to end. But a joint investigation by the Tampa Bay Times and our CBS affiliate, WTSP, found at least 100 zombie campaigns nationwide, where spending continues long after the race and even after the candidate has died. Noah Pransky is an investigative reporter at WTSP. He joins me now from Tampa. So, Noah, this was an incredibly exhaustive effort. You and other reporters spent a year reviewing 1 million records from the Federal Election Commission. Let's start with some foundational knowledge here. What can a candidate spend campaign money on?
Essentially, the FEC rules are vague, but they're designed to be spending that money on campaigning. And when your career is over, the spending is also supposed to end. That basically, you should close your account down, and the FEC says you can roll it into another political committee, you can give it back to the donors who gave it to you, or you can actually do some good and give it to nonprofits.
So to be clear, what is specifically supposed to happen to campaign money once a candidate is out of office, let's say?
You have some options. The FEC says you should spend 6 months, no more, to wind your campaign and your affairs down. Pay off your bills, close down your offices, and shut down the campaign. The one thing you definitely cannot do is spend it on anything that personally benefits you. But what we found was that well over 100 candidates were doing just that. They were spending it on things like travel, cell phones, computers, even country club dues, things that clearly were benefiting them, but the FEC just wasn't paying attention.
And so one ethics expert told you this was, quote, the kind of abuse that people only perpetrate when they're sure nobody is watching and they can get away with anything. How has the Federal Election Commission responded to your reporting?
The commissioners won't talk to us, and the staffers have given us information basically saying that it's not their job to go through every candidate who's still out there, and a former candidate, that is, which is somewhat crazy because we use the FEC's own data to find violations. And not only were there some violations, but there's this enormous gray area where all these former candidates are living. The majority of former Congress members, senators, and presidential candidates do shut their campaigns down in a timely fashion, but there's a lot of them that we found, again, over 100 who are still keeping them open for years and years, sometimes decades, so they can use these funds essentially as personal slush funds. The extreme cases we found were even after a candidate died, the campaigns were kept open so their family members or political operatives could then access the funds and pay themselves.
Really is remarkable. So, I mean, the bottom line question I think a lot of people are wondering is any of this post-campaign spending illegal?
We believe it is. The ethics experts we've spoken to believe some of it is. The large majority is probably, attorneys will find a way to paint it in this FEC gray area, and that really needs some addressing from Congress. This is the kind of scandal where you look at dead people campaigning under the letter of the law. They're still campaigning even though they're 6 feet under the ground. And it's sad for the candidates who, the former Congress members who built great careers, and now their names are more or less being used to fund someone else's lifestyle. So we need Congress to kind of close this loophole and the FEC to look at some of the extreme cases we're bringing forward and say, you know what, that shouldn't be happening.
I mean, based on what you found here, you were able to find 100 zombie campaigns. Does that mean perhaps the FEC will start investigating them?
We're hoping they will. We know several watchdog groups in the Capitol who are filing complaints at this time. Some are in the works and should be filed by the end of the week. That will force the FEC to take up individual cases. The congressman from South Carolina who's kept an account open for 25 years, paying for his travel, computers, and country club dues, they're going to all find themselves before the FEC, several if not dozens, and we think that hopefully that will be enough to scare some of the others to closing their accounts down and do the right thing. Do some good with that money.
And has the FEC taken any steps to fix this or to try to fix this problem at all?
No. Again, we use their own data to find these problems. They haven't even done that. They seem to be a poorly staffed, poorly funded agency for what they're told to do. But again, they only have one job, and that's enforced federal election laws, make sure that candidates aren't benefiting from campaign funds, whether they're in office or they're failed run or they retired. And they're just not doing that job.
Well, it's an extraordinary report. Noah Pransky, thank you so much for your time, Noah.
Thanks for having me.